Good morning, Patriots. Welcome to Red Friday. Would you believe that today is the 280th consecutive Friday meeting of the East Valley Red Friday Patriots? 280 breakfast meetings, and we got 75 in attendance here this morning. That's a whole lot of elbow rubbing. You know, we've gone from squeeze space only to a sizable organization with over 227 members now. Quite a transition, I'm sure you would agree, from 5, 6, 7, 8 that were in attendance back in the IHOP days. So it's great to have all of you in attendance this morning, as well as those that are viewing our program on YouTube. You know, most of us in this room completed our military obligation sometime before Apollo 8 carried a crew to space. Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Space mission occurred July 1969. That was 55 years ago. And in our lifetime, we've been witness to numerous space missions, actually to the point that they're now somewhat commonplace. Space is the new frontier. Yet most folks are unaware of just how much activity is going on up there that's managed by both civilian and military organizations. Space becomes more heavily trafficked year after year after year. One thing we do know is that this new frontier, space and cyberspace, has allowed us to deliver services unimaginable 50 years ago. But like any new frontier, there are those who will ultimately abuse it, potentially threatening the safety and security of mankind. Enter the United States Space Force, whose debut came in December of 2019. But we don't hear much about what's happening with that particular branch of service. We know that the Space Force's mission is to protect U.S. and Allied interest in space and to provide space capabilities to the joint forces. We know that the branch is headquartered at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We know that the military and civilian members of the Space Force are called Guardians, a term that comes from Guardians of the High Frontier. In fact, that was the command motto of Air Force Space Command, which eventually became the United States Space Force. We do know that the Guardians have finalized the design of their new uniforms, that they've introduced a mighty good-looking branch insignia. Their enlisted personnel sport some awesome-looking chevrons on their blouses. We also know that qualifying for jobs in the Space Force requires a significantly higher ASVAB score for enlisted personnel than the other branches of service, and that Guardians are some pretty smart troops. And we know the motto of the United States Space Force is Semper Supra, which is Latin for always above. But you may not know that the Space Force has now released an official anthem by the same name as their motto, Semper Supra. The song was created to capture the esprit de corps of the Space Force and to give service members a sense of pride. Now, for those of you who have yet to hear the official song of the Guardians, let's focus on the United States Space Force anthem, Semper Supra. Now, that's the Department of Defense version of the Space Force anthem. Kind of cool lyrics, but also kind of boring. Now, give that same assignment to come up with a service branch anthem to a group of young, enthusiastic, talented civilians, and this is what you get. Listen to an original song by Voices of Freedom, their version of the Space Force anthem. Hooah! Will you join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We've got quite a few new guests with us this morning. But first, I want to welcome back Joe Rozier, United States Marine Corps officer who, since 2015, has been extraordinarily heavily involved with the Billy Graham Rapid Response Group. He just returned from Ukraine. This is his 7th trip to Ukraine since 2015. Thank you for what you do. We have as guests of both Keith and Connie Curtis, their children, Ross Johnson and Tanya Johnson. Will you guys stand back there? Now you guys originate from South Dakota. Is that correct?
Sorry, what did you ask?
You originate from South Dakota?
Yeah, we live in Rapid City, South Dakota. So.
Beautiful. So you ride Harleys?
No, but we survive with the onslaught of Sturgis Motorcycle Rally every year. So.
How many years have you had to survive that?
Wow, we've been there since we were kids, so many years.
So you're here for a wedding?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we come down occasionally, though.
So are you getting wedding?
No,
you're not getting married?
We've been married 33 years, so a while. Yeah, be careful, right? It's in the plus or minus a couple of years.
Tanya, if he doesn't know how long y'all been married, you need to get him updated.
I think I'm right. So.
Glad to have you guys with us today. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy your trip here.
I also wanted to thank all the service members for their service to our country. So thank you so much from the civilian world. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Also, we have visiting with us from Minnesota, Gary Brigham's brother, Scott Brigham. Scott, will you stand up, please? So, Scott, how often have you had an opportunity to get down here to the valley?
Oh, I've probably been down, I don't know, half a dozen times, come down and see my bro.
What would possibly possess you to come down here in 100-plus degree temperatures?
Anticipation of Minnesota winter. And it wasn't supposed to be this hot in October here.
We're glad to have you with us. We love this guy.
Thank you.
He is a fantastic gentleman. Tom Wynn has been gracing our halls now for quite some time, and he finally woke up and decided to bring his lovely bride with him, Deb Wynn. Deb, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great, thank you. And I see that now, Deborah, did you actually serve in the military as well?
Yes, I'm a
So
Navy
you
vet.
served in 1973 to 77 as a United States Navy enlistee as a hospital corpsman.
Yes, at a
Thank-
Marine Corps base, Quantico.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I also worked in the kitchen, and I served you all over at the Superstition
I
Sunrise.
know that. I recall that.
So I've been around you for a while.
I recall that very much so. We're glad to have you with us, and we
Thank
hope
you.
that you'll continue to join us.
I will. Thank
We've
you so
really
much.
appreciated what this guy has done in contributions to our organization. Thank you. Also, a longtime Red Friday member who is actually going to be a keynote speaker for us today, brought his lovely wife with him, Diana Broadcorb. Diana, will you raise your hand, please? Diana, you know that your hubby has been gracing our halls now for several years, and we are absolutely elated to have you come out for the first time to join us.
Thank you.
Will you promise me you'll come back?
I promise.
Thank you. The salesman in me says you stop right there as soon as you got the commitment. Also, we have with us Lloyd Daniels. Now, Lloyd, you could almost consider a newbie, but on the other hand, Lloyd did make a couple of visits to our group long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, but this is the first time back since. I don't know what prodded you to possibly come back. I've been emailing you, texting you, and phoning you now for 3 years. Just to give you a little information about Lloyd, Lloyd is a United States Air Force veteran, and he served January 1954 to December 1957. He was a radio radar airborne.
Electronics, yes.
Thank you for your service, and I'm damn glad to have you come back and join us again.
I'm sure glad I'm here. Thank you.
When you last joined us, can you recall roughly how many people there were at that meeting? Maybe 10?
There were about 6 small restaurant tables.
Were we still over at IHOP?
We were at IHOP.
Okay, that's when we had ballooned out and burst our britches and decided we had to bail from IHOP. Glad to have you back with us.
Thank you.
Also, we're absolutely elated to have Liz Ramsey's sister visiting with us from New Hampshire, Helen Elder. Helen?
Thank you,
Now-
service people, from someone who hasn't been in the service.
Well, let me explain to you that Helen's family goes back to the American Revolution. As a matter of fact, she is a member of Daughters of the American Revolution in New Hampshire, and she now has encouraged Liz to pursue application for membership, and I think perchance that we have some Apache Trail members here that are going to help out Liz in getting that application completed. Now, you have in your chapter somebody that handles money?
Yeah.
Yes? You have somebody that handles money in your chapter?
Yes.
Okay, what do they call? What do they call them? Do they call it treasurer? We got one right over here. Raise your hand, treasurer. So, what do you call the individual in your organization that's the head honcho of your chapter?
Regent.
That is the regent?
Mm-hmm.
We got one right over here. Raise your hand. So, what do you call the second in command?
Vice Regent.
You got nervous on that one. A vice regent? We got one. It's right back there in the back of the room. Okay? We got a bunch of DAR folks here.
Yeah.
So we have been tremendously grateful for their support. And I hope you'll bring that message back to New Hampshire about what Red Friday is all about.
Yes. Yes. I
Great
will.
veteran organization.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know that Kathleen Billings, as of yesterday, is a DAR member.
Thank you very much, Helen, for joining us. We're absolutely elated to have you, and hope you enjoy your visit with your sis. You know, I don't know if you folks have noticed, but for weeks now, Fred Hammond has parked his butt all the way back there in the back of this dining hall. He kind of hovers around the head, kind of like he's guarding that door. Fred, I don't know what's going on back there, but as a Navy retiree, I know you've seen a little sentry duty during your career, but I'm surprised to see a Navy veteran, especially a Navy retiree, pulling sentry duty without a weapon. Having a weapon on sentry duty is standard operating procedure. So, Fred, we figured that since you've taken it upon yourself to guard the men's room, you need an appropriate weapon to carry out your duty. So, Fred, will you please come forward? Richard? Fred?
Yes, sir.
There is absolutely no doubt. When I saw this, your name came straight to my... Now, listen up here. Now, I want to ask you, when you were in the Navy, did you go through any type of weapons familiarization?
Yes, sir.
Did you do any type of ceremonial duty with weapon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know how to do a right shoulder arms and order arms and all that stuff? Okay.
Well, I'm not going to do it now. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, I remember that now.
Huh? It's a five-step movement, Fred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And order arms, same thing. 5 steps. So, just do a right shoulder arms and then take that back there and stand duty. We would appreciate it. You know, actually, Larry Smith is tutoring both Fred and Nita on our video recording systems back there, and I understand that they're becoming quite well versed with the operation of that video equipment. Nita, please keep an eye on Fred. Make sure he doesn't hurt himself with that weapon. Are you folks aware that next Sunday, October 13th, the United States Navy will celebrate their 249th birthday, 249 years of protecting our seas. Now, if you've noticed, we have a table reserved for our Navy veterans, their significant others and guests. And I would ask that all of you who served our country in the United States Navy, please stand. How about a resounding hoo-yah, Navy hoo-yah for these veterans? Hoo-yah! Thank you, thank you, thank you, gentlemen. To all of you Navy veterans, thank you for your service. We're honored to have such a fine group of sailors as part of this Red Fridays program. You know, Theodore Roosevelt, who served as Assistant Secretary of the Navy under President McKinley, and also in 1898 helped plan the successful naval war against Spain, once stated that a good Navy is not a provocation to war. It is the surest guarantee of peace. Those words are as true today as they were in 1898, 126 years ago. And John F. Kennedy, a decorated World War II naval officer commanding a patrol torpedo boat, once stated, "I can imagine no more rewarding a career." And any man who may be asked in this century what he did to make his life worthwhile, I think can respond with a good deal of pride and satisfaction by stating, "I served in the United States Navy." You know, as we reflect on naval history, we learn that it was founded in October 13th, 1775, and today describes itself as the most advanced and most lethal fighting force the world has ever known. 52 years ago, in 1972, nearly 200 years after its founding, Admiral Elmo Zumwalt designated 13 October as the Navy's official birth date. Zumwalt ordered the day to be celebrated to enhance the appreciation of our naval heritage and encourage pride and professionalism in the naval service. Here are a few things that you may not know about America's naval forces. In 1794, President George Washington signed the Naval Act, creating a permanent, standing U.S. Navy. It was the second rendition of the Navy following the Continental Navy of 1775. And it was managed by the Department of War until Congress established the Department of the Navy 4 years later in 1798. Fast forward to modern day, and we find currently the United States Navy is the fourth largest Navy in the world. Currently, China, Russia, and North Korea tout more warships, but the U.S. Navy is by far the most powerful, well-trained, well-equipped, and lethal naval force the world will ever see. The Navy currently has more than 332,000 active duty personnel and an additional 101,000 Navy reservists. And the Navy hosts an impressive fleet of 297 deployable combat vessels, including 11 aircraft carriers and more than 4,000 operational aircraft. Its fleet consists of aircraft carriers, amphibious assault ships, cruisers, nearshore combat ships, destroyers, and submarines. And the Navy describes its submarines as one of the most lethal weapons in the nation's arsenal, and says that they navigate the world's seas unseen, carrying out highly secretive missions. It's interesting to note that the Navy names its ships after states and national heroes. Each year, the Naval History and Heritage Command compiles a list of possible names for naval vessels. The recommendations are based on research as well as suggestions from military personnel and the public. And once compiled, the names are then directed to the Secretary of the Navy, who has the ultimate responsibility for naming naval ships. Now, as you might guess, it's a huge honor for a ship to be named after a person. In fact, the tribute is usually reserved for naval leaders and national figures who are considered heroes of war, or those who made extraordinary achievements in peace. An example might be the USS Hammond, named after our own Fred Hammond's grandfather, Charles Hazeltine Hammond, who was a Navy aviator and the only naval aviator awarded the Medal of Honor in World War I. Fred, I know that you must be extraordinarily proud of your family's naval history, and rightfully so. You carried it on. Yep. So now you know a little about the rest of the story regarding our seafaring friends of the U.S. Navy, and we should be honored to celebrate the Navy's upcoming birthday and recognize the brave men and women who served our country both past and present. Now, to you Navy vets, raise your hand again. I have a question for you. Richard, I need for you to help me on this. You can stand up over here and observe. I have a question. And the first one to raise their hand with the correct answer will be the recipient of a grand prize. Are you ready, Richard?
All right.
All right, here's the question. What was the name of America's first submarine?
Nautilus.
Incorrect. Second hand back here. Anybody? What?
Pressure. Holland.
What? That's unfortunate. We got a dozen Navy guys in here. Answer. The Turtle. The Turtle was the first functioning submarine vessel which on September the 6th, 1776, attacked the British HMS Eagle, which was a 64-gun Royal Navy ship anchored in New York Harbor. And the Turtle was a one-man vessel that submerged by admitting water into the hull and surfaced by pumping it out by hand. Okay. You guys need to study up here. All right, here's Richard, I need your observation again. All right, here we go. Who is considered to be the U.S. Navy's most famous SEAL? Who is considered to be the U.S. Navy's most famous SEAL? Right back here, we got a Navy answer. Chris Kyle, that is absolutely correct. Known as the American Sniper, Chris Kyle served 4 tours in Iraq and became known as the deadliest sniper in the United States military history. He recorded over 160 confirmed kills during his service, which earned him widespread recognition and respect. Fred, I need you back up here. Fred, I want you to know that you are the recipient of the prized Bohica patch. For those of you who do not know what BOHICA stands for, it is an acronym for Bend Over, Here It Comes Again.
Hence.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, again, to our U.S. Navy active duty personnel, our Navy veterans, happy birthday. Thank you for your honorable service. Appreciate you. Thank you very, very much for your attendance today. I am absolutely elated with some of the guests that we have here. It's fantastic to see these types of numbers starting to occur, and we can only anticipate that our numbers are going to grow throughout the fall and winter. Thank all of you for joining us today. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and please do not forget what our mission is, to remember everyone deployed. Have a great weekend.